In this video, I'm going to show and explain a wide variety of strange phenomena occurring in our world today. It is well worth your time because it actually has answers. And in this video, we are going to take a look at what really happened, what everyone missed when day turned into night in Sao Paulo, Brazil on August 19th. And I'm going to show you what this event, along with all of the following events I'm showing in this video, all have in common, and what it has to do with the coming catastrophe we call the Empcoe. Alert! Thinking will be required. But an important note before we go into this video: membership to my private website is closed. This video is not to gain members. It is a free lesson to show just a portion of what's happening now, why most will not see this coming, why most will be unprepared, why people are so lost, especially those who've been seeking the truth, and to show you how little the news or channels you listen to show you about the entire picture of current events, how few truthful answers they ever provide, and how little they understand the Empcoe plasma catastrophe that is coming. As we go over these recent phenomena, a quick recap and something you must remember: everything is electromagnetic. This phenomena, including all of the crazy weather, are all caused by the building of plasma, or charged gases, and electromagnetic changes happening in our world now. Plasma, which is electrically charged gases, the visible form of electricity, can take many forms and many colors. It is the fourth state of matter that is conveniently left out in school curriculum. The byproduct of plasma is water, and the water forms clouds. This will be important to remember when we talk about Sao Paulo, Brazil. All of these videos, which were captured by people witnessing these events that post them on their small YouTube channels, are mostly mistaken for UFOs. And I touched on this in a prior video called Not Effin' Aliens. That people do not understand what Hollywood is and what the purpose of it is for. People do not stop and think, what are their own original ideas, or what are the ideas that have been inserted into their minds by conditioning due to movies and television shows. If people saw these lights without ever having seen an alien movie or a UFO craft movie, their minds would not immediately go to this being a UFO. Now, why put so much effort into conditioning people that what they will see in the future would be UFOs? It's simple. It's to hide the existence of the real cause, which is the coming catastrophe and its preliminary signs. Now, these colored spots in the sky, along with the pixie lights that I've shown in prior videos, and now the emergence of orange and red lightning, is a clear progression that shows that the signs of the preliminary Empcoe are ramping up. This is being captured on a regular basis, but most people you listen to won't show you this stuff. They won't speak of it. You won't even know it's happening unless you witness it yourself. And I have to keep the length of this video somewhat manageable, so these are by no means all of the occurrences that have happened in the last month or so. These are just a few so that you get the idea. So if you're somebody who's witnessed any of these events or the ones that I will show later in this video in person, it's really important that you listen up and pay attention to the words that I'm saying. No one ever knew there even was an Empcoe until Brianaustinlambert33 and my channel released this to the world. But releasing this information has had unintended consequences. it has enabled minions to come out of the woodwork to use this information for self-gain. Why is everyone so lost and far from the only truth that matters? Problem number 1. People don't want to have to think for themselves. They want someone to tell them what's going on. Problem number 2. People want to feel emotionally comfortable about their world, about the future, and about the possibility of a catastrophe in the near future. So they refuse to believe the reality about what's coming and frame it as a happy reset. Problem number 3. Instead of accepting the hard truth about our near future, people choose to form belief systems needing no solid evidence to stay in an emotionally comfortable place. Problem number 4. People think the person they get the answers from should be likable. They won't listen to or hear anything from people that they perceive as unlikable. Problem number 5. Channel creators want to profit, so they steal pieces of other people's work that they have absolutely no real comprehension of, waste your time, and fill listeners' heads with unfounded nonsense while pretending to have a grasp on what will occur, without sending you to the ones who really understand it. Okay, so on to problem number 6. Pride and greed prevents people from admitting when they don't understand something, so they give out bad or false information while pretending that they do. Problem number 7. No one is ever happy with what they have already been freely given. They always want more. And problem number 8. The world is full of cowards. No one has the courage nor integrity anymore. No one has the guts to do the right thing, especially if it negatively affects their money or their lives. Because of your humanness, you have been played. The problems lie with people. Controllers have used this understanding of human beings against the population, and that is exactly how they pull off this big of a deception for so long. To those who believe that the plasma will take out the bad and leave the good, you forget that these catastrophes have been happening since the beginning of time. Guess who's still in charge and who's still pulling the wool over everyone's eyes? The real problem is you. The Empcoe's devastating effects do not care who you are. It is the ultimate equalizer. Now we're going to talk about what happened in Sao Paulo, Brazil. But stay to the end of the video because I have some other crazy weather events that have been taking place. This is to give you an example of what it means to critically evaluate an event and think for yourself when forming a conclusion. This is what we teach people to do. Hey guys, and thanks for watching miasnewpairofglasses.com. There's certain things that just stick in my craw, and I don't quite know why, but I know I need to investigate into it. And the thing that I want to cover is the story that has been put out, which is the Amazon fires causing Sao Paulo, Brazil, to be suddenly plunged into darkness due to the smoke from the fires. That's what they say. It is something that we saw and we looked into. So when I heard that story, my immediate reaction was, well, of course this makes sense, because we know there's been an increase of lightning and there's been an increase of fires, and the sun is burning hotter. It's drying out the vegetation quicker. So when I didn't have time to sit with this, and the system had me busy with minutia, lots of minutia, and things that took me away from critically evaluating this issue, I fell for the story. And as we get into my Masters in Controller series, we will talk about how that is exactly one of the things it is designed to do, to keep people from the truth because you're so busy with life. But we are going to take a closer look into this and what they said happened and what's really happening, because this is a big deal. And it's a great lesson, yet again, to go over these kind of things and not be influenced by the bombardment of the story that is put out there, to use your thinking mind to figure out what's really going on. So we're going to start by going over the official story of what they're saying about this event, and we are going to poke holes in their ridiculous explanations. Then I will tell you what this really is. And this is an article posted by the Washington Post. And while we go over this, I want you to pay really special attention to the things they are saying. In the height of daytime, the sky suddenly blackened and day became night in Sao Paulo. Sure, smog is bad in the Western Hemisphere's largest city, where traffic jams can stretch for dozens of miles. But not this bad. What was going on? Was the end near? Apocalypse, one person cried on Twitter. The final judgment is coming, another added. Mortar, one more person intoned. Experts tried to puzzle out the cause of the midday darkness on Monday, but their conclusion at times appeared to be conflicting, deepening the mystery. The National Institute of Meteorology said the city, which sits at an elevation of 2,500 feet, was, quote, inside a cloud. Others explained that it was a cold front. Metsol, a Brazilian meteorology company, said the culprit was smoke that had come in from forest fires in Bolivia, Paraguay, and remote parts of Brazil. In fact, it appeared to be a combination of all three factors: clouds, smoke, and a cold front that ushered in the smoke from distant reaches, plunging the city into darkness in the middle of the day. The smoke didn't come from fires in the state of Sao Paulo, but from very dense and wide fires that have been happening for several days in the state of Rondônia and Bolivia. The cold front changed direction, and its winds transported the smoke to Sao Paulo. The news highlighted the number of forest fires in Brazil, which rose by more than 80% this year, according to data released this week by the National Institute for Space Research. And everybody knows if it came from a space research institute, it must be true. This central Brazil and south of the Amazon rainforest region has been undergoing a prolonged drought, Alberto Setzer, a researcher at INPE, said in an interview with the local media outlets. And there are some places where there has not fallen a drop of rain for 3 months. Most of the Amazon was once considered fireproof, but as climate change and deforestation remake the world, wildfires are increasing in frequency and intensity, recent research has shown. And then they go on to end the article with the fact that wildfires in the Amazon are not natural events. They're caused by climate change and human activities, blaming deforestation and the like, getting everybody up in arms about those two subjects and throwing people completely off the scent of what's really going on. And if you guys have watched Brian's video on deforestation, you know there's a very specific reason they are doing that, and it is to mitigate the conflagration fires that are going to be happening. So now we've heard what they say about it. We are going to dig deeper into this and find out what the truth is by analyzing footage, using logic, and going over the ridiculous excuses that they have used. So this story is everywhere. They are promoting this story and their narrative. You really can't miss it, okay? So that means there's a really big purpose to putting this story out there. Now, if you remember back to the fire map that I posted on the current Empcoe signs page, and that I mentioned that these wildfires have been burning all over the world for years now, and specifically in the Amazon. But it has not gotten any coverage, so this is not a new phenomenon. And the percentages that the space research place put out of it increasing by 80%, who knows, because look who's in charge of those statistics in that research. But this is nothing new. It's only now that they're covering it, and they're covering it to use it as an excuse for the event that happened in Sao Paulo. So we've already talked about where all the stories come from. They come from one single place, and they release all the information. And look at the statements that they chose to use in this article. They could have used whatever wording they wanted, but they went out of their way to post those 3 statements about the apocalypse, the end is near, and that is no coincidence. Next, we're going to talk about the fact that in the beginning, that no one could agree on the cause. So first they said that the city was having a cloud over it, and that's what made it turn darkest night. Then they said it was a cold front that changed directions. Then somebody else said it was smoke from a fire. And it wasn't till they had some time to come up with an explanation that they come out and say, oh, it was a combination of all 3. Now, anybody who's lived through wildfires or having fires even right next to them knows that even when it's in your back door, the sky does not turn black like night. It turns an orangey brown. Now, even though the video clips where they promote this narrative show you a bunch of videos of the fires burning, so they show you fires, 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 and then at the end they tack on the images that were coming out of Sao Paulo, that is not what smoke from fires looks like. And they're saying it traveled from 2,300 to 3,000 kilometers to get there, to darken one city and no place in between. So if the smoke was moving, it would have darkened places along its path. By the time it got to Sao Paulo, they would have known what it was. The other issue I have is this. When there's a fire, there is ash falling and you can smell the smoke. So if that was caused by smoke from fires, people would have been able to immediately know that. It permeates the air, the ash falls, but nobody knew what this was. Now, another thing they mentioned was that this was sudden. Well, smoke from fires would not suddenly darken a city to dark as night. It would be a gradual darkening of the skies. So do you see how tricky this is and how much you have to pay attention and think about this stuff before you come up with a conclusion about what is actually taking place? And they blame climate change and deforestation for a severe drought that they speak of. So they make mention of a drought and go out of their way to say that some places have not seen a drop of rain in 3 months. So now we're going to take a close look at the footage because I'm going to show you the things that I noticed after carefully reviewing the footage. Let's see if you notice it. Boom, right there, lightning. I'll play it again. Flashes of light. It turns out it was actually raining. There was a storm while this was going on. Those windshield wipers are not wiping away ash. The streets are wet and it is raining. Now this is crucial to understand. I'm going to play this clip again, zoom in and slow it down. You can clearly see it's raining and the streets are wet. So while they throw in information about a drought and make everybody assume that there's been no rain, they are in the middle of a storm when this event happens. Then they throw up images of a red sun that are completely isolated clips and could be from anywhere. We don't know where, that sun covered with smoke is actually captured from, along with clips of fires and then the event in Sao Paulo. Now here again, here's a camera covered with rain. It was storming. And as a side note, I tried to look into if there have been any power outages in Sao Paulo, and there is absolutely nothing. I can find power outages that happen anywhere in the United States, and they're happening all over the world, so they have to be happening over there. But there is a complete blackout of information of power outages over there, and of course there would be, because everything that gets out, unless it is an amateur video, is used for a purpose and is carefully constructed. So, after going over all the facts about this event and the articles that have been released about it, the explanations that they give do not fit. However, there is still a reason that they have promoted this event and the narrative along with it, because it is a clear message. The wording used in this article that is been everywhere is very specific to the point it's trying to get across. And this is a huge sign. So, the event, what happened? There are clouds that could darken day to night, but not your normal clouds. The type of clouds that could darken what they go out of their way to mention is the Western Hemisphere's largest city, is if a plasma hand was coming down to that largest city, which it would be attracted to that, and creating a thickness of clouds that would darken out the sun. The largest city would attract the plasma first because it has the most conductive material in a small area. And remember back to when I said the byproduct of plasma is water, and the form that that takes is clouds. It fits perfectly with how sudden it was, the fact that it is storming and there are clear lightning flashes going on and rain, and it fits much better than the excuses given. And if you take along the information being released about this event, this is actually a plasma hand creating this. So this is how brilliant they are and how well they know human beings, that they can manipulate people's perceptions of events and steer you in a clearly false direction. And what most truthers do are take the narrative and go run with what is said instead of doing their own critical thinking and investigating and using logic on these types of scenarios. And that's why so many people are absolutely lost, because they don't do the investigation and the thinking for themselves and disregard what is being said about the event. So this is the type of thing we are up against. This is top level controllers, and we'll get into more of that in my new series. But this is what people fall for, and these are the reasons why. So that is our opinion on this issue, but don't take my word for it. Go over the story, go over the footage for yourself, and make your own determination. And that, my friends, is how you do your own thinking. And that is the work of a true truth seeker. Let's take a look at some other strange events going on around the world, like this tornado, aka waterspout in Amsterdam on August 9th. And if you don't know what normal weather is for these areas, you will not know how abnormal these types of events are. We have a huge uptick in waterspouts and tornadoes happening all over the world in areas that do not get them ever, like this triple vortex tornado in Luxembourg on August 9th. I mean, they don't get tornadoes, let alone a 3 vortex tornado at the same time. And if you don't know that we're well past tornado season, it won't seem odd to you either. Here in Madrid on August 26th, they had feet of hail, a massive amount of hail that fell that caused a flash flood devastation, just like in Guadalajara, Mexico back in June. And what do these events have to do with the colored spots in the sky and the red lightning? Everything, because it's all caused from plasma. Plasma is causing the clouds, which is causing the increased precipitation in all forms, and it's also causing the tornadoes. So on the same day in Campillo, Spain, they had double tornadoes at the same time. This video shows one. Oh, there's the other. And Spain does not have the climate or terrain for tornadoes to occur. There are many, many other obstacles that are going to come along with this coming catastrophe. These are just a few of the preliminary signs. And if you haven't figured it out yet, this is not going to be a quick process. This is going to be a long, miserable, drawn-out preliminary period. These things are only going to continue to progress in frequency, intensity, and severity as time goes on. If you don't understand the true forces in how our world really works. You will never understand why things happen. It's about not listening to the opinions or the narrative of others about events or about anyone else. It's about coming to your own conclusions. It is more clear now than ever that this catastrophe is coming, no matter what people think about it or us. In the end, you will know we were correct. And I know that in the end, my soul can rest at peace, knowing that I have done everything humanly possible to get this information out to people, even up against all of the obstacles that human beings face. And you will remember us. That's all I have for you guys. Everybody stay safe, be good to one another, and God bless.